G'day fixers. Today I'm going to take you through the process that I use without any large bench tools in the workshop to get timber like this reclaimed piece of Oregon into a milled state. Now obviously a jointer, thicknesser, table saw, all of those things are going to be handy, and if you have them, good luck to you. But I don't currently, so this is the way I do it. I start just by docking off the end just to see what sort of grain I'm working with. This Douglas fir or Oregon will make a lovely step stool for my workshop. But before I can put it through my blades, I want to make sure that it is clean. You first saw me using the metal detector to make sure that there were no old bits of nails or screws, and that was true. And now here is a stripper. It is a good little Australian company called Former, not sponsored, just really like their gear, and it is removing what looked to me to be dried concrete or something all over this piece of Oregon pine, and I certainly didn't want it dulling my blades. Stripper made quick work of it, and I had a lovely clean piece of timber to go forwards with. Hacking it down to rough length will make it a little bit easier. My one large bench tool is of course the lovely miter saw here, but just like I docked it down before with a circular saw, you could do the same. You don't need any large tools to do this job. And now we start the process of trying to get 4 square sides. I don't have a specific target in mind for this, but it's roughly 45 by 90, that piece of stud. So I'm going to hopefully get around about 40 by 40 at the end of it for some legs for the step stool. Breaking out the power plane, and the first thing to do is to get a nice straight edge, just one straight edge, which I can then use to reference the rest of my cuts. Taking shallow passes gets me that reference, and then I can grab the circular saw. No table saw in the Fixit Fingers workshop, so I make a quick nick to make sure I am pretty much halfway down this piece of timber, and split a few of them right up the guts. This simple thin strip ripping jig you can see me using here is part of my top 5 workshop beginners jigs. I'll link to the video so you can see how to make it. Was it a bad guess? They're pretty even. Placing them on a large flat surface like my clamping bench to make sure they don't rock ensures that they are indeed flat on one side. Then marking out that side is really important. Checking with a square, and I can see, well, it's not too bad. These are certainly not 90. Now this is the hardest process of the whole adventure. And basically I lied. I do have a jointer of sorts. It's more a jointing jig. What I've done is flipped my hand planer upside down, and by running through these small pieces of timber that are under 3 inches or 75mm, I can get a lovely 90-degree square edge, and that is the key here. I'll link my video up above of how I built this little jig, which is pretty darn handy. Now I have 2 nice flat sides. I can pop over to the router sled, and this is replacing what you'd usually do with a thicknesser. Most often you'd probably see router sleds used for large slabs, but now that I have 2 90-degree sides, we can parallel those sides using a surfacing bit, and referencing off the lowest point of the 4 legs currently, I can run the router backwards and forwards to give my 3rd square side. Yep, it's loud, it's noisy, it takes time. No, it's not as accurate as a thicknesser, but it gets the job done. With 3 sides done, rotate them carefully onto the 4th side. And quick as you like, I'm going to have 4 pretty darn square and pretty equal thickness leg blanks for my stool. Now you notice there's a lot of tram tracks left by the routing process, so I like to get out a piece of 40 grit and just a hand block to knock those back. And then at this point I take them up to about 120 grit, going through 80 first to smooth everything out. Rotate them around and complete for all sides. Clamping bench really comes in useful here. For this particular project, I also want some slightly smaller square pieces to act as the braces, and I can just repeat through everything until I've got all the stock that I need, trim it down to final length. And for a couple of hours work, I have milled up an old piece of roofing truss into some lovely square and dressed timber. I hope that helps you out if you've got a tiny workshop like me and not access to very large tools. Yes, it takes a bit more time, but it will get you out of trouble. If you want to see what I use this dressed timber for, then check out my shop stool build that's coming up very soon. Fixit Fingers out.